All right, is there any other questions, council? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passes unanimously. All right, thank you very much. Moving on to item 8F. Discuss and consider an act on ordinance number 201003, amending the City of Pearsall ordinance, chapter 42-3, traffic control devices, to establish new, so on and so forth, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Leal, second by Councilwoman Trevino, Assistant City Manager, you have the floor.
Yes, Mayor, Council, as you recall, on May 9th, we came before you and did a presentation regarding speed humps, the difference between the different types of traffic control devices. And this came about because the city has experienced a considerable amount of requests for speed humps. And so there was no policy in place for how we should, process these requests, how will they get paid, the work, how do we decide who gets a speed hump. So council tasked staff to come up with a policy, and we are presenting that to you all. The purpose of this policy, of course, outlines the procedures on how citizens are gonna request traffic control devices that are designed to reduce vehicle speed on certain streets. The device is going to be placed based on, of course, the transportation engineering criteria that mitigate speeding problems. We presented to you eligibility requirements, how will you be eligible to request those? And of course, it's gonna be through a petition process, and there's gonna be criteria for that petition. Secondly, you're gonna have, there are some areas where we will have some objections where the chief of police or the public works director can object to certain areas that are being requested for obvious reasons. The cost responsibility and the procedures are also outlined in this policy. The city's gonna require at least 60% of that project cost to be covered by the property owners before we will do any type of installation. And that again, of course, is assuming that petition process goes through.
What do you mean property owner?
The property owners, the petition will require signatures from the abutting property owners. And then there will be a study done that will determine whether or not it meets the criteria that's, then that cost will be assessed to the property owners if it doesn't.
And of note here too, Councilman, I know concern could be if there's really a need, but we have the discretion to waive that. If there's
Yes.
really a need there and we see like if a person got hurt there and the neighbor says, we're not paying for it, and we said, hey, we need that, we can waive it.
I will say two things, just a couple of things. What we hear, we put speed humps in certain areas, and we get two extremes, sometimes from the same people on the same block. We want some people that want speed humps, and we have others that say, I don't even know why I did this, I don't know why it's happening. And so you get those property landowners that don't agree on even the placement of homes in certain locations, and then they leave it up to you to decide, well, who's right and who's wrong. And then you have areas, another example I think they gave is where they folks say, well, I know people are speeding through here, there's speeding, we can put a traffic control device and monitor the speed, whether people are really speeding, and say, okay, yeah, somebody's really speeding, somebody, or they're not, and say, based on the information we have, and there's equipment out there that allows for this, we don't see that there's a speeding issue here. So if you want a traffic control device, you can pay for it. And if your people around you agree to it, then yeah, it's something that, but if it's not a traffic issue, meaning there's people are driving at 34 miles an hour or slow, I believe is what it says, then there's really not that issue, and it's something that a lot of times what we hear is well, there's a perceived, we've gone times, I know y'all done the old traffic studies where the officers, and we've talked about this, where the officers just sit out there for, I don't know how long hours, I don't know how many hours they sit out there and measure speed. Well, in theory, think about it, it's like somebody's measuring, an officer's out, but of course, everybody's gonna slow down, right? Nobody will speed, so we can say, well, there's really not a traffic issue, but we go ahead and put speed humps anyway. So those are the things that we have to look at, is it something that the person or the people perceive as an issue, or is it really an issue? And that's,
Council, this is something I think we've talked about, it's a good thing, what do you got, Councilwoman?
Well, because I work there at the Frio Apartments, and I've seen, you know, I've got cameras on both Frio Street and Roosevelt. And I've seen people just hauling it, and my kids, you know, the bus used to pick them up over there on Roosevelt. And there would be times where we're like, oh my God, you know, they would even pass the bus. And it's like, hey, you know, and so if I were to petition for the speed humps, you know, there, so the Frio Apartments would have to cover the cover 60% of that cost, or how would that?
At the consideration, again, the city, if you read on the bottom of page 224, at that paragraph, it says, of course, it says we want covered by the adjacent landowners, but city council at its discretion may waive all or part of the owner's requirement to pay the 60%. So if, you know, if we saw the need and no one was gonna pay for it and council approved it, we cannot mandate that.
now in saying that, I'll say, agree, understand that this is costing you, the taxpayers, money, and so you as you could approve every speed hump and keep doing it. Or you could say, no, that doesn't really make a lot of sense based on the data, if it's really data driven. And again, but those are decisions, I mean, if we looked at that provision only, that, and I'm not saying suggesting variance, but if we looked at this stat, then we could just approve speed humps and do speed humps all year long. I mean,
And it puts the onus back on the people that they really want it, do the research, talk to your neighbors, so it's about survival.
So if there's something currently in place that was put on with old, no ordinance back in the days, and now they want it off because it was a recommendation from the council, is that something that we can go back and revisit now with this new and say, you know what, now let me hear it from the citizens, residents themselves? Cause I got a
I'll say this,
complaint.
I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I think what I'm gathering is, I'll give you some examples. They want us, in some cases, they want us to remove speed humps after we put them in. And it's like, oh, okay. I'll give you, Margot Drive is one place. I've had Pecon is another. I can tell you that if, and so I don't know on that end is, you know, do we remove them after we spent the money to put them in there?
That's what I was gonna say, I was just telling Brenda, I mean, to me, speed bumps, or speed humps, whatever you wanna call them, they're mainly for the Good Samaritan, because Margaret Drive is a good testimony, is speed bumps or speed humps, choom, they just take off.
My thing is the ambulance.
Yeah.
Ambulance, even responses. That's one thing, again, as you look at the cities, a lot of cities are they're intended to have some of them wider roads. And the reason for that is because those roads should be direct, there should be very few stops, because those roads are meant to get you to your subdivisions. And so when you have, I get the residential areas, but there's roads, I'll give you, to me, example, Ash is a perfect example. Being Ash at one time, to me, the way it's designed, it looks like it was meant to get you from one part of town to the other. But in that process, we've also put stop signs there, I get all that. But there's reasons why some of these roads are built just the way they're built.
All right, council, we've got it all on the table, I'm gonna go ahead and call for a vote.
To answer your question, Councilwoman Garza, it would require not just from the property that you work, but like it's a neighborhood petition, for the neighborhood, the street block, where the petitions would come from.
So that
So
would
the,
be also, because it's us and right across
yeah,
the
so it
street.
would be like the street area. So the process would be is, we would keep a list of those that are requesting, and I think we even have one already, we have had numerous requests. And then, we would go out and conduct a traffic study, to determine if it meets the criteria for the speed hump that we have set out here. And then we would go back to the person requesting it and saying, okay, here's the traffic study, here's what the findings were, here's what it would cost you or the neighborhood, and if you want to proceed with it, then you gather the petition. There is gonna be there is in here also a process to waive the fee. You all will have the authority to waive the fee. There's also a public hearing process. if others wanna come and speak for or against it, so we've, provided for that as well. We've also, to address Mr. Reyes's concerns, well, we've had people, we've gone and done the expense of putting those speed humps there or traffic control devices, and then they don't want them. After a while, they realize, oh, they're a nuisance, or, you know, we don't want them. So we have put in a minimum 2-year criteria, that they must stay in there within a minimum of 2 years. And there's some additional things, but.
Good stuff. Council, we've got a motion and a second. I'm going to call for a vote. All in,
I have a question, why would you put in there, I'm sorry, I'm just being me. Why would you put in there to waive the fees? Why would we set ourselves up for that? Like,
Well,
honestly, I would strike that
If I
out
could
of the
just
thing.
answer that, a question like, Councilwoman Garza said, well, what if we had to? What if there was fatality there? What if it was a terrible situation? They said, no, that we can't. You guys have the ability to override that. But if it's just, you know,
I mean, cause people that just want their wants, I mean, I,
you could really see
I'm the
how
same
it goes.
way.
Anyway,
Yeah.
okay,
I
great question.
do want to point out, one change, is on page 2 of 4, under G, Administrative Authority, number 2. We want to strike out upon approval by the city council, because that would, of course, be given once, if the ordinance was to be adopted. And, so it would just read, the city manager will make a preliminary determination of eligibility based on the traffic data.
So the last speed humps that were put in, so say Margot Drive and, anyway, but Margot Drive, who paid for those to be put in? Was that the city,
The city.
or did they incur that cost?
No, because we have no policy in place.
Uh-huh.
So, this is actually amending the traffic, control section of our ordinance, that has no policy in place on how to address requests for, traffic control devices.
I'm just saying because, not that I'm gonna be like, hey, well, you know, y'all did it for them, why not do it for us? But I know there's another one that was on Roosevelt, that he's probably gonna come and have something to say, you know? And so,
Oh, yeah.
so, you know, I know he's gonna be, and he knows his stuff. He's gonna be like, well, y'all did it for Margot Drive for free, now why are y'all making us pay for it? Because I know he's even come to me, you know, because of the traffic that goes there, and it's mainly the young kids with their, you know, with their Mustangs and stuff, that go down Roosevelt and they speed down there, and he's like, hey, you know.
PD's just gonna have its work done upfront.
And basically is because at that time, there was no process or policy in place. Now there is an ordinance that we must follow.
The answer is simple, because we have to. That's, you know, there's things we do that are unpopular, and I think so. But anyway, we're in a position where we're gonna go and vote. So, we've got a motion and a second on item 8F. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, hearing none.
Thank
Moving
you.
on to item 8G. Discuss and consider the utility bad debt write-off in the amount of $864,000 as of September 30th, 2024. This is an action item. I will ask for a motion in a second. Motion by Councilwoman A. Garza, second by Councilwoman Hernandez. Our finance director, Christina, you still on the phone?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. You wanna walk us down this road?
Just really quickly, typically what would happen annually, your finance staff should be reviewing the city's utility accounts to determine if any of them are 4 months or older or past due. If they are, they should be presented to council on an annual basis. It appears that the city of Pearsall hasn't had this done for about 10 years. So the bad debt expense of $864,630.03 actually represents, it's actually already been adjusted for through your budget, through your audits. So the audited financials that you're reporting on your website, don't agree with your utility, module within your software system. So by doing this, they would be in line with what you're presenting on your website as your annual financials. So when those reports are run, they are more in line with what's actually available to the city. Just keep in mind too, that even though it's being written off, there is the option to approach a collection agency similar to MBVA or Purdue Brandon is an attorney's office that does collections. Anything that is 4 years or less, they can actively pursue to recover the debt. And anything under $25 they can't pursue. but at least that way you could recover some of those monies. But what we're asking council to do is approve us to go ahead and write off this bad debt so that we can bring us in line with what the audit financials show.
Council, do we have any questions for our finance director?
None.
Okay, hearing that, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed unanimously. Thank you, Christine. All right, council, I'm gonna ask for us to table item 8A, 8H. We've got 3 wells that are operating and meeting demand. The weather's getting cooler, but the city administrator has asked that we get more data for that. So I'm gonna ask for a motion and second to table. Motion by Councilman Leal, second by Councilwoman Hagar. Any questions? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And going on to item 8I. Discuss and consider an act to authorize city manager to enter into a contract for services for emergency repairs to an AC system at the library. This is an action item.
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Art Garza, second by Councilwoman Trevino. Assistant City Manager, you have the floor.
Yes, Mayor, council members, we are bringing this to you for consideration. Our financial policy for procurement process requires that anything over, that it's going to exceed $24,999.99 be brought to City Council for approval. We have an AC system at the library that's currently down. It is a 2010. It is very hot and of course very uncomfortable, not only for our employees, but the patrons that we are servicing. You did budget in this year's budget for $33,372, and we Parks, Mr. Otero went out and obtained some written quotations for the replacement of the complete replacement of the unit. And it came in within the allocated funds.
Actually, a little less.
A little, slightly a little less, but,
So.
we only
the
got
divide-
one bid that came in. We reached out to the 3 as required, but only one submitted a written proposal.
So the one for the library, is that by Sub-Zero Divine or?
No, we reached out to Sub-Zero, to Maverick Heat and Cool, and to Ramirez Refrigeration. Those were the 3 quotes that we went out for, and only Maverick submitted a written bid.
For all of them?
For all, just one bid.
No,
That
so
one
the-
vendor.
For,
Are you talking about no, just for the main one that's down.
The main room is currently not.
but you also have the PD on here.
That's not.
no,
that's
this
not emer- This is, meaning, the recommendation would be, if we can't get this repaired relatively fast, we need to close the library down, or my recommendation.
And
Okay,
this is
for the
only for
P-
library.
Only for
PD is
library.
not, yes, sir. This is for library only. PD, Mr. Otero has gotten some bids, and I don't believe we need to come back for that because it's not a total replacement. And it's under the procurement process that's required under the financial
All right,
policy.
we've got a motion and second. I call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, City Manager. Going on to item 8J, discuss and consider resolution authorizing participation in the tax pool, investment pools, and designated authorized representative. Okay, this is an action item. Council, I need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Leal, second by Councilwoman Art Garza. As Finance Director, Ms. Green, you've got the floor.
Yes, sir. The resolution was actually brought to council in February, approved. With the vacation, or with the replacement of the finance director, we'll need to have the resolution reapproved, the agreement signed, and the account set up. Unfortunately, those things didn't happen when it was approved in February. What it'll do is it'll allow the city to use the investment pool to earn interest rates that are 5% above what you're receiving with your depository bank.
Awesome.
That sounds 500 basis points?
Man.
I'm sorry, sir?
Sounds like a winner.
500 basis points?
you're earning 5.25% on your investment or your deposits there, where your current rate, I think you're at 1.2 or 2%.
Great, all right, thank you, council, we have a motion and a second. May I have any other questions? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Ms. Green, okay, 8K, discuss and consider resolution number 2024-1003, approving the service provider agreement between the Frio County Emergency Service District Number 1 and the City of Pearsall for emergency protection and other services. This is an action item, and I call for a